Hey everyone, I'm Kim Shively.
And I'm Kevin Otis.
We're the authors of Applied Meisner for the 21st Century Actor, and this placeholder video is going to just hold us until we're able to get back in the studio as we live through COVID and the challenges of COVID. We hope you enjoy this video, and once we're back in the studio, we'll be able to really provide more specific examples of what we're talking about in the book. But in the meantime, today, Kevin's going to talk a bit about impulse.
Yeah, so impulse is very important and it's critical for actors. It's critical to have impulsive response in one's performance because it makes the acting look spontaneous and lifelike because it actually is, because the impulse is happening. Um, the a person really isn't faking impulse. It's that effortlessly unique response to something that comes through a person. Now, in everyday life, most people are taught to inhibit their impulses. And in most situations in everyday life, that is totally appropriate. That allows us to have society, right? People don't throw a fit waiting in line to get a sandwich. But on stage, where we're operating truthfully under imaginary circumstances, when we find ourselves in a make-believe moment of crisis, that's when people stop watching themselves. And as a result, the impulses start to come out. And this is really good for one's acting. So impulses are effortlessly unique. It's that part of our humanity that's trying to get through before all of our social conditioning, all those habits kick in to kind of repress ourselves. Um, and they can be viewed as very spontaneous. So Meisner put an emphasis on impulsiveness because of that uniqueness, right? Where that authentic human being is. And one of the things that's cool about Meisner's approach is that if I have my attention on the other person who's important to me, and if I also have my attention on what I am doing, that then relieves me of enough self-consciousness that my impulses can start to pop. And then my acting will improve, right? And the opportunity for my one-of-a-kind uniqueness to come through, well, it can happen, right? We create a situation where impulsiveness can happen. So those are some of the first things that come to mind when I think about impulse.
And one of the things I'm hearing you say, and it's something that you and I talk about really frequently, is that when we are helping each student actor be put at the center of their own process, we're aiming for that one of a kind uniqueness to come out. Can you talk a little more about how we think about that one of a kind uniqueness as it relates to talent and ability when we're talking about like what talent really is?
Yeah. And and so I mean if we accept the premise that each of us is one of a kind, that there is not another person like you or me or like whoever's watching this video like you, right? Your impulses then are unique to you if you allow them to come into the work. The opposite of that would be like a cliched impulse, right? Where a person is like, oh, in response to this event, I should behave thus. And then it's premeditated, which tends to become generalized and tends to move towards cliche, which is kind of an absence of uniqueness and authenticity. And so helping an actor, helping a student get into contact with their one-of-a-kind self in the dramatic work is a huge step forward for that actor because then when they're playing a role, they're not doing a version of someone else's version of that role. They're bringing themselves and their uniqueness, their one-of-a-kind authenticity will never live again um, thing to that role. So yeah, and it's also one of those things that it's easier to spot than it is to like discuss, but also the opposite of it. The cliche is also easy to spot because if if the person's response is like, well, this is what anyone would do, and I don't really believe it as being like impulsive or spontaneous, well, then they're not bringing their uniqueness to the work. And the impulse is the avenue for that effortlessly unique part of a person to come into the dramatic world.
I also just think for me, it's fun to watch. It's fun
Mhm.
to do as an actor, as a director. It's amazing to have actors that have that facility available to them regularly. And and then as an audience member, I just love to see that people are really experiencing something as if it's the first time. And I think for me, one of the things that Impulse gives us is Impulse really gives us that avenue of treating every performance like its own unique standalone, which is particularly important in theater, but also in film. If you're doing multiple takes, then to be able to have that freshness and that improvisation of each moment, it really, I think, makes actors stand out when they have that ability.
Yeah, and it really leads to a kind of unpredictability and aliveness to the event, right? To live theater, right? Or to live acting. It's happening for the first time. And even if it's, the 15th take, that particular take is happening for the first time. And so it's going to be at least subtly different than the other takes. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as we say, Kevin, do it for real. If
Yeah.
if you're looking for more information on Applied Meisner for the 21st Century Actor, you can follow us on 21C Actor on Facebook and at 21C Actor Insta on Instagram. Thanks so much, everyone, and do it for real.
Do it for real.